the deepest offensive grouping then, the where you're happy that you're in the market right now for this position because they're deep at the combine and free agency is what, Ben?
Interior offensive line, which there's not a lot of centers as per usual because there's only 32 guys. Like that's not a spot that we see a ton of movement, but Tyler Linderbaum is in this class, and Linderbaum's probably going to dramatically reset the center market if he gets out of Baltimore. Even if he stays in Baltimore, we're looking at who he's going to beat Creed Humphrey and have that biggest deal. And then it's the guard spot where David Edwards has been great from Buffalo. You have Isaac Seumalo coming out of Pittsburgh. Elijah Vera Tucker, who's an easy guy to forget. You missed the entire season with a torn triceps, but he was looking at being one of the highest paid guards before he started to get hurt. Interior offensive line is one of those spots that is more modular in the NFL. It is easier to go get a guy from a different system, drop him in, and get immediate success out of that player. I know there's some teams right now like the Lions who are telling me, no, it's not that easy. But in general, it is an easier thing to do. And so you should expect to see a lot of interior offensive line movement in free agency. And then draft-wise, we've got a good number of bodies this year, right? Center is weirdly undersized. There's a lot of smaller zone dudes. If you need a big center, you're kind of in trouble. But there's multiple, Francis Maui-Noah, who's out of Miami, might be a top 5 pick who gets moved to guard. Emmanuel Pregnan out of Oregon, Vega Ione out of Penn State. We're expecting, I would say, about 4 top 50 guards to go in this class. And so it's a good year to need a guard. And, every team needs offensive line improvement.
And what about skilled position for all due respect to offensive line?
You see, when you say offensive position, my head goes to the guys in the trenches, right? That's what we got.
I got you. I got you. Because, Ben, this is a fantasy football world we live in.
Right.
Come on.
Then, running backs, this year for running back free agent class is great, right? You're looking at Breece Hall at the top. You guys were talking about Kenneth Walker coming out of Seattle before the break, Travis Etienne as well. And then there's like a great mystery box tier. There's the Rico Dowdle coming to free agency again. He had 1,000 yards with the Cowboys, didn't get the big deal, had to take the 1 year with the Panthers, and then had 1,000 yards that season too. And so you have Rico back in here. Tyler Algier is in this market. He was a 1,000-yard rusher for the Falcons before they drafted Bijan Robinson. Algier's a guy I'm really excited to see where he goes. Kenneth Gainwell, who obviously showed you, hey, if you have a quarterback who just wants to throw it to the back, I could be a 90-catch player over the course of a full season if you want. It's a really, really cool rotational group of backs this year. And the class for running back is really rough after Jeremiah Love. It is not a good year in the draft for running backs. And
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Not a lot of rotational players, but when we talk about rotational players coming out of the draft, those guys usually take some time to get on the field because they have to learn NFL protections. It's a lot harder to get a rookie out there as your third down back as opposed to just getting Kenneth Gainwell and plugging and chugging. So weak year for running back after Love. The second best back in this class is probably Love's backup at Notre Dame. Jadarian Price is most likely going to be RB2 off the board. So this is going to be a year where I think you see Walker, Breece Hall definitely, and then Travis Etienne as well get more money than you're thinking right now in the open market because nobody wants to draft any of these guys after Jeremiah Love.
Ben Solak here on the Rich Eisen Show. And I guess maybe that's why Dallas is like, let's sign Javonte Williams, right? Like, interesting. So maybe Kenneth Walker stays in Seattle, right? I don't know, but that's a pretty deep. You named some really good professional running backs that are going to be hitting free agency unless they get franchise tagged.
Yeah.
Ben.
Before the playoffs, I would have told you Kenneth is staying in Seattle. 70% yes, 30% no.
Right.
After that postseason, I mean, the young man made himself $3 million a year easily, right? I mean, he was highly explosive, 3 straight games of 100 yards from scrimmage. He showed more as a receiver. Obviously, wins the Super Bowl MVP. To me, if I'm Kenneth Walker's agent, anything below the Josh Jacobs deal, which was 4 years, $48 million, $12 million per year, I'm laughing at, right? Not after we just won a championship, all right? I would like to see my guy get paid. And Seattle's got free agents, right? They have Rashid Shaheed they potentially need to sign. Kobe Bryant starting safeties up this year. Reek Woolen corners up for them this year. And so they might not want to be in with Walker at that price tag, especially because there are the Tyler Algiers and Kenneth Gainwells available and Rico Dowdle in this class. And so I would say now Walker percent chance he stays in Seattle, I'd put it like 45%. I think that it's closest to a coin flip, but if you made me guess, water gun to my head, I think he gets out of Seattle.
Okay, and then the concept of the wide receiver market, how does it look, Ben?
Yeah, wide receiver's tricky because there's always guys because we play 3 of them on every single snap and we have wide receiver 4 still does stuff for us. Like there's always bodies on bodies on bodies. So you kind of have to measure it just against past years of wide receiver. You can't measure it against like center where there's only ever 1 or 2 dudes available. This year, I would not say is a strong wide receiver class. Free agent, there's some good rotational players. Jawan Jennings is a great blocker. Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot. Rashid Shaheed, the speed element. Those guys are there. And then there's a couple of okay, can you be like a real wide receiver 1 or 2 for me? That's Alec Pierce out of Indianapolis, who, led the league, yards per reception, yards per target, air yards per target this year. Explosive downfield player. Can he run some more routes? Can he be a little bit more of a 3-level weapon for us? There's Mike Evans. We have no question that he can be that, but how long in the tooth is he? How healthy is he coming off a little bit of an injury-riddled season? And then Romeo Doubs, who's really quite the conundrum out of Green Bay. Everybody I talk to, everybody likes Romeo Doubs. Like, there's no question it's good play. Why did he never fully control wide receiver 1? Why did he never start demanding targets and consolidating there? He had the exact same target per route share over all 4 years in Green Bay, like 22%, just like solid Eddie Steady wide receiver 2 Jacoby Myers play. So nobody really knows exactly how high that ceiling is. And so a few guys who might be, able to have big impacts on their next team. I think Pierce is going to make somewhere around $24 million per year, the Nico Collins deal, but you're still squinting. You're still trying to see the forest through the trees a little bit with Pierce. It's not a knockout year for wide receiver in free agency.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.